Next, we're talking about lot clearing. So we're ready to beat this horse again. I read Mario's proposed amendment again today. And it's pretty good. I mean, I think it's pretty good. I just have a couple of minor suggestions, but has everybody else had a chance to?
Which one is this?
This is the lot clearing, this suggestion.
No,
of lot clearing.
which one about this board?
It's this.
It's Article 3.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody had a chance to, oh, we're still reading. Okay. So the last time we talked about this, last fall, Mario submitted this proposed amendment. And I want to be clear that Mario said that he didn't think the amendment was necessary, but that if we decided to go forward with it, he'd suggest considering something like this. Again, the purpose of this would be to make people stop and think before they cut down every tree on their lot. And I think this would do it, frankly. It might not stop everybody, but it would. I think it would. My personal feeling is that it would make enough people stop that we'd at least send the message. But I don't know what other members of the planning board think.
A couple of just technical questions, I guess. Number 14, removal of or planting of trees or vegetation which dangerously obstructs the view of traffic by operators. The question is, who determines that?
That's actually in the bylaws. That's stolen from the bylaws already.
Okay.
It's in our zoning bylaws.
The question is it up to the person doing the work to determine that?
Not if it's in the right of way.
I'm not sure what it says in the bylaw, but I suspect that if they're referring to public safety, so to police.
Okay.
Well, for DPW, or if it's a scenic road, they
Well,
don't
that's
need
really
it.
my question. So if it's in the right of way, it would be the planning board. If it's not in the right of way, it's police or DPW.
It's a scenic road.
If it's in the right of way of a scenic road, it would be this board. If it's in the right of way of a
Okay.
non-scenic road, then it's Tom Cullen.
That clarifies.
And if it's not in the right of way, then it basically lets the homeowner decide whether he's got a dangerous situation. If it's in his
Right.
property.
Not the planning board, it's not in the scenic road, then did you say?
Tom Cullen. He's the DPW
Yeah,
director.
Other comments, Mark?
Another one is, I'm a little uncomfortable with if this provision of if the provision of this section is intentionally violated by a property owner, because I think that's just infinitely elastic, you know.
I take out the word intentionally.
Yes, exactly.
Just, if it's violated, then there's a, because you'll never know whether it's intentional. Of course, they're going to say it wasn't intentional.
So,
They accidentally
but,
dropped the whole tree.
but a delay of 6 months is really no delay at all because it takes that long getting things together. 6 months can go by.
That's what Sue was saying, and I agree as well. 6
So-
months is too short.
What, I mean, if the intent of that paragraph is to say, you know, really encourage people not to violate it, you think of I mean, what, I don't
2
know,
years.
for you
I
guys.
said 2 years, 2 weeks ago.
I
Would
think
you
it would
guys-
say
would
at
you
least
guys-
12 months. I think if it becomes a problem and you see people doing that, then you should change that 6 months to a year or something like that.
Well, what do you think? I mean, 6 months is nothing. Really.
6 months is a lot if you're carrying a property.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
Or if you're
but,
trying
you
to
know,
sell it contingent on.
Correct.
You're trying to sell it stuff, but they're talking about, you know, you won't get any building permit, or, you know, so in the time that you're selling it and that you're doing things, 6 months can go by. It's
Well,
not.
demolition delay is 6 months, so you.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
Well, that may
ineffective.
change
It's
too.
pretty ineffective.
Maybe
So
a financial penalty, you know,
what would you suggest?
$300 or whatever, $200 a day, whatever it is, until you rectify the situation.
And rectifying means replanting?
Yeah, but that's already in Right. place.
Yeah, so then why do you need more than 6 months?
Well,
Right.
I mean, I just want to
You
know,
do have-
what
you
should,
do have that
what do you
also.
think would be good to put in here that would be a penalty that would strongly encourage someone not to just violate it, assuming that it passes?
What would you suggest? I mean, he's already said 6 months. What do you
Well, no,
suggest?
he suggested $300 a day until rectified.
But the town never opposes penalties on
Well, but it might be nice to see something like that.
That's 2 years.
Olga, you got an idea on that?
I just want to run something by you. So Newton has a one-year delay for certain things. What happens with that one-year delay? When a person buys a property from the owner that sells it, they already count in the one-year delay. So what they do is they do a purchase and sale for a year later, because nobody is willing to carry this. So who loses is the seller. The seller basically loses either the money or the year or whatever. But people, if they
It's not
want
too-
to go around
It's not too
something,
effective.
it's never, nothing is going to be effective if somebody wants to go around it. The more rules you'll make, the more crazy rules you'll make, the more the people will figure out how to go around them. I think it has to be reasonable. 6 months is reasonable enough for people to stop and think. If you really want them to stop and think, if you want to, I don't know what you want, but you're not going to change those who actually want to do something with it. They will figure out how to buy something from that person, counting in the delay, and they will put it in a purchase and sale agreement. And it has been done, it will be done in this town too. I mean, it's just something that people do and it will be part of the process.
So you
So
don't-
the
you don't
person,
think that any
the old
penalty will
person
work?
who needs to move out will actually have a problem. Moving out, selling it, moving it fast, they will just have it delayed. I mean, that's how it works.
So what I'm saying, counterexample to that is when there's a problem with a property of any sort, like a regulatory barrier, let's say, somebody doesn't have frontage, so that means a ZBA, and so forth. The potential buyer or developer goes on to another property. Okay, that, in my opinion, and from my experience and what I've been told by builders, is a deterrent to doing things that you can control. I can't control my lack of frontage, so I'm gonna get screwed for that particular problem. But if there's something that you cannot avoid doing that will make your property more attractive for development, where time is of the essence, then you're not gonna do it. It is effective. It's easy to say that you can always get around any sort of law. But we should just give up and go home and.
No, but I'm telling you how they go around this particular law.
Well, but-
They make these houses.
We believe you that we can
They-
get around any
They
law.
no, I'm telling you how other people in town of Newton do it. So because that's something that has been done for years now there.
And I appreciate you bringing that information to us.
So I see your point about the 6 months. But if the purpose of this is to stop people and get them to think, even someone who's unreasonable and has something set in their mind to do a certain way is going to see this language and is going to see that, it's 6 months plus all other remedies that the town has. And he's going to also see that, look, all I have to do is think about what I'm doing, and if I have to go in front of the planning board, I'm gonna have to go in front of them first. Because if I do cut all my trees ahead of time and then go in front of them, then that's just gonna make my life really miserable dealing with them. And if I don't have to go in front of the planning board, I have to go through a few steps here. I'm gonna go through those steps rather than wait 6 months. So I think most people, even people that have something in mind of clear cutting a property, they're going to see this as a bylaw that basically says, hey, before I do anything, I have to go through some steps, and they're going to do that. So I think 6 months is enough because of the other remedies clause.
Are there any real-life examples that are out there? I know we have South Avenue that got clear cut. For me, at least, I think it would be helpful if we had an example of a lot someplace that somebody's cut.
Church Street.
Lovely.
And what happened in those instances? Were those developers, were they homeowners? Did the properties sit there for a while? I mean, what was, we have some real examples.
Histories are all different. The stories are different. One was, the one on South Avenue, it has to have been done because the guy's considering selling the property. There's
But
no
right
other
now,
conceivable.
it's just sitting there. and
It's just sitting there.
Has-
I
has he
don't think
applied
anybody's
for-
even living in it.
No, he hasn't
applied for a
applied
permit?
for any
Does he
housing.
know what he's done? Has anybody contacted him?
He was contacted when it happened for the stormwater, and I don't know what the status of that is.
At one point, I saw building materials in the driveway, so, trying to work with it.
Do you think a fine, say $50,000 or something would be better?
Well, there is other remedies. in town.
What are the other remedies?
Yeah, there is,
First,
any zone,
It's
any
the
bylaw
fine,
in town
it's
gets
the
brought
building
in.
inspector.
It's not
It's
possession.
not criminal
Who's doing
disposition.
what?
Yeah, I know, it's very
For
minimal.
violating
Yeah,
this
we-
bylaw?
yeah.
For violating
Yeah, but
stormwater
like-
runoff bylaw, but nobody ever opposes
Yeah,
it.
it's
This isn't gonna catch the guy on Route 30.
It may not catch him, but it will catch some people, and it will make people who read the bylaws
Exactly, so.
pay attention.
If that's the intent of it, I think it meets that intent. I mean, you're never gonna catch everybody in the net. It sounds like the guy in South Avenue, I mean, he hasn't applied for any permits. That happened quite a few months ago. So we're still gonna get people that are gonna not know anything that's going on and cut.
There's one on Summer Street, got a clear cut about 9 months ago.
And what was the story there?
That guy had it offered for sale. I don't know if he managed to sell it, I don't know
Okay,
what happened.
so this gets.
That probably would have caught
Okay,
him.
so, you know,
So I
Also,
don't
Sue's
understand, if
mentioned-
a person just cuts the trees on the property without selling, that's okay? I don't understand.
That's what the 6 months is on.
No, I'm saying, as a by right use, I have an acre and a half of land and I want a field, not a forest. So I can cut it and
You can
live
cut
there,
it, but
correct?
you can't offer it up for sale for a certain period of time.
Well, this doesn't
Wait,
say that.
yeah, wait.
Yeah.
Well, what I mean,
It says if the provision of this section is violated by a property owner, that is, you can't clear cut unless you meet one of these
Right,
these
but
exceptions.
wait a minute.
no,
If
wait.
she
How does that
doesn't
prevent the
need
sale?
a permit for either site plan approval
Stormwater.
Right.
or building permit or stormwater, because she just wants to
But
have
if
a
it's
meadow.
I
clear
just
cut,
want
it's
a
gonna
meadow.
violate the stormwater.
But I want a meadow, I
over
want.
5,000.
That's fine.
Over
So-
5,000.
Yeah, if you cut more than 5,000 square feet, you're talking stormwater.
Right,
So
For a
you'll need
permit,
You'll
correct?
need a
Yes,
permit
yes.
for stormwater anyway.
That triggers this.
that's right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay, so that's the whole purpose of this, that it's gonna trigger one of these if you clear cut an acre worth of land. And that puts you, that means if you violate it, that means you can clear cut it, you can violate the stormwater bylaw, there may be penalties for that, but the penalty here is you can't offer the property for sale for at least a certain period of time.
You can't
It doesn't-
get a building permit.
Can't get a building permit.
Still sell the property.
You can still sell the property, but you couldn't replace the house.
I have a question.
Let's go back to that.
Can I ask a question? I don't understand. Number 2, does this mean, this can't be right. This means maintenance by somebody who is not living on the property? I don't understand this
That means
language.
if you own the lot next to you.
Oh, so it
Yeah.
really is, if you're the butter next door,
Yeah.
so why
That needs to
doesn't
be
this say
clarified, I
property
don't get
owner?
that.
Why does it need that special distinction?
Maybe it doesn't.
Well, someone might own the lot next to them and want to put something on there, like,
I mean,
Yeah,
use
like
the lot for some purpose other than develop, oh, okay.
by some
Oh, so it
use.
is distinct from
It's very distinct.
potential development.
But if, again, that could trigger the stormwater,
Yes.
that lot could still trigger the stormwater bylaws.
I still don't understand number 2 at all.
If you own two abutting lots, it's saying you could clear the one where the house is not, if there's no house, I guess.
This is if you on the lot in question as well as the lot next door?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
No,
doesn't
you
say
have-
that, if you live next
If you
door.
own a lot and the lot next door to you, you do something to.
Right, but it's only if you own the lot next door. If someone else owns the lot next door,
No, you don't have
doesn't
to own it,
matter.
you just have to reside there.
Al? I
It
mean,
doesn't
looks-
say you have to.
I think it's good for us. I mean, if you want to move forward on it, let it go to vote or whatever you want to do. I think it's good for us as well. I mean, it works for both sides, the way it's written.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
a couple
We're
things.
just trying to clarify that second paragraph here.
So Steve
What
resides.
exactly did you mean by that, Mario?
I don't understand this.
Okay, so it's an exception because if you own the property, let's say you wanted to, you own the property next to you and you want to put a tennis court on. It basically says you can put a tennis court on. You are exempt from the provisions. Now, if you're gonna do that, you still have to get a permit.
Right, if you don't get the
But
permit.
but it's
then-
basically saying that you can go ahead and do it
But
before.
I just want to understand that you're still violating, it's a piece of property. So you still, if it's clear cut, or if it triggers the stormwater bylaw,
It's not, you cross it out if you don't like it. I'm just thinking of an example of someone who owns the property next to them and wanted to do something with it,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't be subject to this.
But if they own the property next to them, then all the same things apply.
yeah, I think that all the
I
same
don't
things
think
would
it's
apply.
right.
And then he changed his mind, puts it on the market, he doesn't suffer the delay?
Yeah, so we'll
That's
take two out.
cheat.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Well,
also,
the thinking is if you live there, you probably care about what happens there.
Then you don't need to be exempt.
right,
If you're not gonna sell it, you don't need to be exempt.
Then cross it up.
You would hope. Okay, so now we're, David, you've got a problem with the 6 months still, or are you
Yeah,
happy about it?
You sell a property, you clear cut a property, and you sell it, but you can't get a permit for it, a building permit. Well, you sell it to someone, they're gonna spend 6 months with an architect anyway, so that's no big deal.
We take up to 4 months without plans. Design and permit. 4
So,
months.
so they have to take 2 more months. It's not, it just doesn't.
2 months of carry on $1.5 million property, average price in Weston today is a lot of money.
what about a compromise of 9 or 10
Probably
months?
not
What
for-
about
25 to 30,000 a month we carry.
What about 2 years?
It's just it's gonna affect the seller.
Interest.
Or you have an opinion?
You're not gonna get-
There's a lot of people that are,
Insurance.
it's not a big deal,
Maintenance,
money.
utilities.
So,
Sellers need their
I'm
money.
curious about what that whole host of things called other fines and remedies are.
Well, it's the
We have a list.
criminal non-criminal disposition.
Nobody ever opposes it.
Well, maybe it
But you
should be
should.
imposed.
Yeah, maybe.
You could.
Should it be imposed?
Sure, but it never is.
Okay, so maybe we should write this saying
I
that
think
it should be
if
imposed
someone's really
unless
intentionally, you know
someone
that they're
requests
intentionally
relief
doing
from it for some reason,
Yeah.
which could be granted, but that it would be, that you would default to imposing it. Would you agree with that?
But it goes without saying because it's already it's in the bylaws.
Well, you're right, no, I'm approaching it from a completely different way. So if it says, if what it says is that all other fines and remedies to which the town is entitled would be imposed unless a petition is made for relief and granted. And who would be the granting group to do that? Would that be the building inspector,
Zoning zoning officer,
the zoning officer?
which is the building inspector.
So that would be a change of that wording, so that it defaults to imposing fines and remedies, but with the provision that relief could be granted if it's petitioned to be granted and there was reason for it, right?
That's already the law.
Well, except that it doesn't even get to there. See, it's like, well, like, we don't,
You mean because Al said it's never imposed?
right. So I'm just saying the default would be that it would get imposed, but you could also ask for relief. Does that make sense to you guys?
It's implicit in the language.
Well, but it doesn't happen that way. And what I'm getting at is a whole different, is a default to impose.
I think the building inspector that puts him on the hook, because he
It also
becomes-
makes all the other
that's his job.
enforcement.
But do you want to take a poll about 6 months as being what, I think you said you feel like it's a little light?
I think it's
Yeah.
way.
I feel like it's like
I think it's
myself.
nothing.
Uh,
Yes.
I've been yelling
Light.
for 2 years, for 2 weeks now.
Okay, hang on a second, okay? Sure, have a poll. I'm with you.
So, I mean, I was thinking of a year myself. That seemed like something that it's.
Would you not want to have fines and other remedies
I
to
just-
town as
since-
a default?
It's already in
I
here.
mean, you're just saying it was okay, right?
It's the building inspector's right to do it.
Right.
It's
just doesn't-
it's
He has to, that's up to
Well,
him to
this might
enforce.
sort
It's
of,
up to him to
but
enforce.
he never does that, right?
But he might. I mean, how
So
can you
this
say?
might just sort of say that, well, he would do it unless he gives relief.
You have to ask him that.
I don't want to put him on the spot that way, but by writing that into the bylaws.
But it's undermining everybody. You know, it's unique.
Well,
I'd like to
I
propose
don't.
a compromise of 9 months between the year and 6 months.
I'm gonna compromise for 2 years.
2 years.
Start with 2 years and
They do it
compromise for
2 years
one.
before
What's this?
I mean, obviously, I feel like a year's teeth, 2 years.
So start with 2 and compromise to 1. What do you start and search here for?
What do you think?
well, I felt that it should be 12 months as well. Sue suggested 10, so it made me think maybe we should just do a compromise of 9. If it turns out not to be enough, we can come back and change the bylaw.
What do you think? What's
You said fine or fines?
9 is fine.
9 plus 5?
So 9 is okay with you, David?
Sure.
I think 9's a lot anyway, but It's up to you guys.
all right, we'll make it 9. A 9 month away, and let's let the building inspector decide when he's gonna enforce and not. Good.
One more thing.
Yep.
Al, we should combine numbers 9 and 13 because they're basically the same thing, with a little
What was the
wordsmithing.
issue?
9 and 13 both deal with utilities.
Correct.
Underground services.
What about
Very
what
good.
about 9 being any utility work both above ground, underground and overhead, including work done in maintaining, testing, blah, 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 blah? Does that
Perfect.
work?
Yep.
Okay, so that now we're down to 12.
We have
Correct.
2 tenths.
Oh, we
Right,
do.
so that makes
Okay,
it
so
12.
now we're down to
Or
9.
9, that makes it 9, yeah.
Okay,
There are 9 exceptions, and we
Yeah.
have a 9-month delay.
so there you go. Okay,
It's-
with those changes,
It's a thing of beauty.
does anybody want to move that we recommend this bylaw language?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Well, how many did you end up with? How many exceptions?
9.
9?
Yeah, I think it was 9, work out to 9. There were 2 10s, we took 2 out, we took 14 out.
What?
Oh, no, maybe it's
I thought
11.
14.
Maybe it's 11. It's
You got rid of
1,
number
3,
2.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Got rid
9,
of number 2 and number
10.
13.
10.
11, 12, 12.
You got rid of 2 and 13.
2 and 14. And there
No.
are 2 number 10s. We
We had
moved,
2 and 13, get rid of 2 and 13.
oh, 2 and 13, you're right.
And we had 2 10s, so that means a net loss of 1, so we should have.
No, we took
13.
out 2.
Yeah, that's what I said, we lost 2 and we lost 13, got collapsed into 9.
Okay.
But we had 2 10s, so that means a
Yeah,
net
you're
loss
right.
of only
You're right.
1. So it was 13. I think. What do you have, Betsy? This is pretty good.
I'm taking this out.
It's pretty
We want to
good.
get it absolutely straight as to how many enough exceptions we've got. We have, I think you're right, Susan, we got 13.
It's 13.
But can I just make sure I understand, on 1, exceptions, you're taking out the whole phrase, provided that, to the end? Because if you have to prove intention, it's absurd, you're just looking for fact. So, right, that
Yeah.
goes. And then the other thing is what he said before, at the very end, after the exceptions, it once again intentionally gets removed, right?
Right.
And then,
9
we
months.
have this cheap reduction to increase to 9 instead of 18 to 24.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah. Okay, good.